Hi again, I'm Dan Hansen. I run Ladybug Daylily Gardens. I've been growing daylilies for about 15 years, commercially. I learned most of what I know about daylilies from my mom, Ray Hansen. She had a very gardener-like approach in everything she did, in which she was looking for performance, but without paying the big cost. Today I want to talk to you about culture. Some of the things I want to address is, have you ever gotten a plant that didn't perform? I'm going to talk about old school, in which you visit daylily gardens and you see what's going on with the owners. I'm going to talk about the biggies: soil, water, and sunshine, and how it may or may not relate to you as you want to grow daylilies. Anyway, soil is probably the best place to start out. In Florida, we have to amend our soils. It's terrible. And the ratio that is generally used here is a 3-1-2, which is 3 parts nitrogen, 1 part phosphorus, 2 parts potash. Now, what I do and talk about in culture may not be what you need to do. Before you do any kind of major changes to your soil, you need to get your soil tested for what's in it. It can save you money, it can save you daylilies. You probably don't need anything. Another thing that you're going to hear me talk about in culture is that pH in soil really doesn't matter to daylilies. Fertilizer in soil really isn't that important to daylilies. You know, the 3 biggies being soil, water, and sun. Here is an example of a soil test that was taken in my garden. What it indicates is the 3 most important elements: nitrogen, as you can see in my garden, was low; phosphorus, which was way too high; and the third is potassium, and it's low also. On this side, it tells me what the correction is to get it back to norms. Also, in this area, it tells me what the pH is, and I find that daylilies are very forgiving in pH, from 5 to 7, and I don't really have a problem with it. You can take all your handheld pH meters and throw them out; they don't work. Go to a professional, get your soil tested. Anyway, I use lawn fertilizer, and the reason being is almost every area that you go to the big box stores and buy fertilizer at, they know what the average ratio is in your area. So they've already done the thinking for you. So if you're not going to break for the soil test, you can go to your Home Depot, Lowe's, and ask them, hey, I want to fertilize my lawn, what do I use? And they might ask you on what side of town you're on, but more than likely they'll give you the recipe for success. This is just lawn fertilizer. That's all daylilies really need. There's some areas that the soil is so fertile that people have never fertilizer daylilies. Places in Louisiana, places in Tennessee. All during this discussion about what we're going to do as far as culture, you have to ask yourself, if I want to do that from a money point of view, from, you know, do you want top performance? And at the same time, maybe sacrifice a little bit of Mother Earth in your program. In other words, you know, look at being a gross polluter. There are daylily growers that are gross polluters. I also use mill organite. It's a 6-2-0 formula. Nothing grows root hairs as well as that product does, and you can add it any time of the year without burning, but you do need to use a lot of it. I use a pre-emergent, it's called freehand. We talked about it in the planning program. Actually, all these products we showed pictures and talked about in the planning program. Pre-emergent is very important to Florida because weeds are growing every day. I also like to mulch with fine grind pine bark. I also like to idle my beds. There's something in my head that tells me rotate your crops. So you'll see that behind me I have some areas that have black plastic down on them, and I normally put manure down because I believe in composting, and I have a good source of manure. And I really don't worry about the weed seeds because I'm covering them with this black plastic for months before I get around to planting it. Now this is what I believe are, sound culture techniques. I believe in growing things in a clump, growing them outside, full sun. Most of you people who buy high-end daylilies think all the hybridizers are doing this, but the truth being, that's probably not the case. Now when you visit a daylily garden, look around. You can see what's going on. It's known that, high-end fertilizer will net you high performance. In Florida, this is a great fertilizer wars. Who wants to spend the most money on chemicals on our daylilies gets the prettiest daylilies? You as a customer, are you willing to pony up to that kind of work and that kind of expense? I think not. Some of the warnings that you have is look at shade cloths, look at greenhouses, look to see how many plants are in pots. Do you use any of these things? I think not. Look on the soil. Look to see if there's frills and frills and all kinds of interesting things that are non-soil-like things that you don't know what they are. Ask questions. Look in their sheds to find out what they really use. Some growth hormones are being used on daylilies. Some of the biggest guys we got out there. Ask them about it. Look for dosatrons, which is a round little thing where pipes come into it, and look for a big vat with blue water in it. Are these people using foliage fertilizers every time they water, or once a week, or what? Do you do that? These are all things you need to ask. I use water to control pests in my garden. Pesticides and miticides have never been used. For me to be sent to EU, I have to use them, but I do it on bare root plants on cement. I don't want to damage my beneficial insects or my worms. They do most of my hard work for me.